Alright guys, it's a windy day, so it might be windy on the video. I'm gonna go in this hive right here, and I apologize guys, I've been too busy to make videos or anything else. As you can see, I switched over to 5-frame hives. Basically I switched everything over to 5-frame hives, and I'll show you something over on the other side here in a little while. These are just feeder buckets. I may go ahead and put that bell on just because it's windy and they're not going to like that too much. See how they're doing. That frame was stuck pretty good. These are small cell. And all I did was write on them the date and what they are. So SC small cell 2021. And I'm just going to stick those in there so they got something to work with over the next week or so. So that's all we're going to do on that one. Let me take you over to the other side and let me show you what's going on over there. Alright, so this is the apiary you guys are used to looking at here, and we had 10 hives here. I've got one over there, and then 3 here, and then the one that we just worked on in the last clip there. And the reason why there's only 4 hives here is because the rest of them have been moved to honey grove. What I'm doing is I'm gradually switching everything over to 5-frame hives. You know, I'm getting older. I'm in my mid-40s right now, and I'm just going to get older from here. Things get heavy in those 10-frame hives. So you can go down to 8-frame, you can go down to 5-frame, you can use 2-frame mating nukes. But after doing this for so long, you know, you figure out what's your style. And for me, it's 5 frames. I mean, it's plain and simple. First of all, anytime you make a nuke or buy a nuke, it's going to be in a 5-frame box or a 5-frame setup. So all you got to do is just take the 5-frame, stick it in a 5-frame box, and you're good to go, and put another second box on it, a second deep box if you're going to go deep, or you can go or you can just do your supers from bottom to top and just do that all the way. Up to you. Eventually I may switch to all supers, I may switch to all deeps, I don't know. But for now, right now, I'm just doing the 10-frame or 5-frame hives, and then over in the honey grove apiary, that's where all my 10-frame hives are now located. So they're over there, and since I don't go to the honey grove hive too often, I basically have 10 frames over there. That way I ain't got to work on them all the time. Now these, when you double them up like this, 2 deep boxes, you know, that is 10 frames. So basically what I do is I take the 10 frames, and then starting with the 10 frames, after the 2 deeps, then you can see there the next 2 are going to be supers, and it'll be supers all the way up to the top. And these are just feeder buckets. I throw a brick on them just in case they ever run out of it. They don't fly off and leave a hole open. But I found that these feeder buckets are a whole lot easier than trying to fill up those feed boxes all the time. You can only hold so much in them. And here, we'll just take a look real quickly here at these 10 frame. So that's my feeder box. And I found that these feeder boxes, I mean, they're great, they work great, they do good, but they can only hold so much. And it's a whole lot easier just to get a 1-gallon bucket and fill up the 1-gallon buckets. I mean, they just last longer, you ain't got to fill them up as often, and all these kinds of things. So right now we haven't quite got to the honey flow yet. It's coming. It's about 2 to 3 weeks out. These are the last feeder buckets on these hives, and again, that's a feeder box. feeder bucket over there, and you saw the one on the other hive that we were working on, where we added a couple frames. And I'm using small cell frames from now on. I'm slowly, gradually switching over from the large, regular size cells to the smaller cell frames. It just helps with you know, different kind of insect problems and, you know, viruses and things like that that these bees can get. And number two, it produces a smaller bee and a little bit less venom or whatever the poison is that comes out of the stinger. So anyway, I'm just switching over to these 5-frame hives. Everything's going to be 5-frame hives at this apiary. And I'm going to get into this box because I need to check and see if it has a queen. They are bringing in pollen, which is usually a sign that they do have a queen, but last time I was in this box I was not able to find the queen. There were eggs, but they had started to produce queen cells, and I could not find the queen. And you know, being in there for quite a while, I did not find the queen. So she could have been hidden, she could have been laying eggs, you know, had her butt down in there, whatever, you know, and just not seen her. So I need to get in this hive here and just take a look at what's going on, see if I can find the queen here. And if not, then I need to watch it and make sure they get a queen cell going, and, you know, a good queen cell, and then we'll take the extra queen cells and just start some new hives. But anyway, the reason why I'm moving everything from this location where these three are over to where that one was that I was just working on, which is on the other side, is because people bought this land out here. So all of this forest is going to be going away, and I've always keep my bees in the shade trees because here in Texas we can get down all the way up to 104, 106 degrees, and with this last Texas freeze that we had, we got down to -6. So it gives you an idea just how dramatic temperatures are here in Texas, and we have high humidity. And so as far as what's flowering, you can see out through the pasture there, you've got daisies, you got, I mean not daisies, dandelions, you've got some clover starting to go here. This is clover. You can see here, this is just clover. Right there's a flower. Right there in the center there is a flower. And clover honey is absolutely delicious. So, but you can see there's dandelions, there's the, I forgot the name of the blue flowers. There's a swarm box up there, catch any swarms that are going on. So, but again, this whole forested area back in here, they are going to tear it down and either make a subdivision or something of that nature. So I'm slowly moving all these hives away from here over to the other location where the other hive was. So I switched over to 5-frame because it's just simpler for me. I can make 5-frame nukes with ease. I can sell 5-frame nukes if I need to sell 5-frame nukes. I can simply double up the hive body like that. Bees naturally, you know, when they're inside of a tree, they build up and down, not side to side. Very few trees are 10 inches or 10 frame wide. You understand what I'm saying? So a lot of times on 10 frames, the last frame or two, they just don't want to fill them out. So you got to move that frame into the middle and make them fill it out, and then you can move it back out to the outer edge, or, you know, all sorts of different things that you can do. It's just a lot easier to work with 5-frame hives. And I was also doing the 2-frame mating nukes, and them are great, but problem with them is a lot of times, I'd say about 30% of the time, you get absconding, you know, where the bees actually, she goes out, the queen bee goes out to mate, comes back, and they abscond the hive. They leave the hive behind and they go find them a new location. So about 30% of the time you lose your bees, and again, you usually end up catching them over one of them swarm traps over there, which ain't no big deal, but pain in the butt. And time is everything. Let me tell you, time for me has been a massive issue. We'll talk about that, but let's go ahead and get into this hive right here. And as far as the time thing, guys, you know, the reason why I haven't been able to make videos is because to make these videos, I've got to get the camera set up, I got to bring the stuff to the camera, and it uses so much more time that really I just don't have the time to be making videos right now. So I haven't made any videos here in 2 weeks, almost 3 weeks now, for the Growing Awareness channel, the main channel. And there was so much going on by switching from Trump to Biden, and then the hidden president and all that other stuff that was going on. The growing awareness channel took up the majority of my time that I had available to make videos, and so I just haven't had any time to make videos for bees. But we'll get into this hive and take a look at what's going on in this hive, and then let me get the setup here, and then we'll get back with you. All right, so I got my veil on this round because if they are queenless, a lot of times they'll be a little agitated. So we'll just go on in here. And I'm just gonna, I basically just want to see if I can find the queen. And this queen is marked, but she's not on this frame, but I just want to kind of show you what's going on the frame here. So you got honey up on the top there. You got some bee bread all through there. All that different color is bee bread. Basically pollen and enzymes put together. And then if you can see in there, you can see that there's some juices in there as well. That's basically the sugar water that we've been feeding them. This honey is old honey from last year. It is a darker honey. It is fall honey. And let's see what's on this side. Now this is a wired frame, but most of my frames are not wired anymore. So again, you got your pollen, your bee bread there. And the queen is not on this. But again, what I'm doing is I'm trying to find the queen of this one, because the last time I was in here, there was no queen. And they had started to build queen cells. So here they're just starting to build a comb out. And I'm just looking in there for eggs, which there are no eggs in it. Queen is not on it. This is a marked queen, so she'll be easy to find. And I haven't been marking my queens, but I may go back to marking them again. So again, I'm looking for the queen, and I'm looking for eggs. And as you can see on this one, there is no wire support, so you got to hold it just right, or the comb will come off. They're starting to get a little jumpy, so we're going to give them a little smoke. But this next frame is a frame that's it's got a foundation in it, and they're just drawing it out for us. And that's why we run the sugar water on them, is to get them to go ahead and draw the frames out now, prior to the honey flow or the nectar flow. Because when the nectar flow comes, you want them to build, you don't want them building comb, you want them to fill comb with nectar. So you can see there, they're just drawing this one out, one side of it. No queen. We'll go ahead and give them a little bit of smoke on top. Smoke on bottom. And we'll just set them to the side. Now if you look in there, you can see I got a green frame. That's a drone frame. And I don't really like the drone frames. They don't never seem to draw them out properly. They always try to make their own cells on it. And I believe that's the case in this hive. We'll check here in a minute to verify it. when you pull these out, try to pull them out good and straight. Y'all basically know all this. So this is just bee bread and honey. And we got a queen cell right there. Let me just bring this over here. So you can see the queen cell there that they're building. Let me see if I can look down in there real quick. Oh, we got a bee down in there right now. But the queen is not on this hive, or on this frame, I mean. You can see the different bee bread down in there, all the various bees. And I'll come back to this frame in a minute and check that queen cell out. They're busy in it right now. I don't want to disturb them. All right, let me look down in there. Okay, so we do have, I can't really get it on the camera, but they do have some jelly in there. Just gonna stick them right there for right now. And again, if they don't have a queen, they're going to be agitated. So that's why I got this veil on. And they are coming up occasionally. And hitting my veil, so. Let's take a look at the drone frame and see what they're doing with it. And as you can tell, I'm doing very small movements, very gradual, very slow movements, because again, they're going to be very agitated if they don't have a queen. And I do believe that they don't have a queen. Get out of the way there, girl. Alright, so let me show you what they do on these drone combs. A lot of times, you can see how they're drawing that out, which is not proper. They should just be going, you know, nice and flat, but they're making columns basically. And I find that they do this a lot on these drone frames. And here you can see that they're doing the same thing. I mean, you got gaps underneath of it, you know, all that kind of stuff. So what I would normally do is just go ahead and clean those off and let them start again. But the queen may be under there, and again, I don't know if they have a queen. That's what I'm studying right now, to see if they have a queen. There are a couple eggs in there, but they're few and far between. So I'm assuming that she has long passed away. Again, I haven't found any eggs other than on this frame. So I got bees staring at me, which is always a sign that they're agitated, getting ready in the attack mode. They haven't released the pheromone or anything for an attack mode. But when they're staring at you and watching every move you make, chances are they're getting ready to go into attack mode. So just go ahead and give them a little smoke, calm them down. It's a beautiful 71 degrees right now, so I mean, weather's not an issue. The wind is a bit of an issue. Trying to get them to move out of the way so I can get a good grip on the frame. Okay, so here we got some cat brood. And again, I do see some eggs on this frame, so maybe we do have a queen. And if we do have a queen, she could be on that drone frame underneath of that crazy comb that we were looking at there. Yeah, there's eggs all over this frame. So she's been in here within the last 3 days, which is 3 days ago was the last time I was in here, and there were eggs as well. So I'm pretty confident there is a queen in here at this point. I have not seen her, but the simple fact that we do have eggs says a lot. I'm gonna give them a little more smoke, and then we're gonna pull this next frame out. Again, I haven't seen the queen yet, and she's most likely gonna be on this drone frame underneath of all that comb, because they like to hide. They like to stay away from the sunlight. But the fact that we have eggs on that frame tells us that we had a queen in here at least 3 days ago, and I've been in here 3 days ago and there were eggs. There's eggs on this frame too, so that's a good sign. Alright, and here's our queen. So let me put this down for a second. And you can see the queen with the dot on her right there. So we do have a queen in this one, and that's excellent. That's what I wanted to see. So now I ain't got to worry about this frame. Now on this other end of the frame here, we've got cat brood. No, it's hard to see with the bees there. But there's cat brood there. So we're good to go. Now this is a small cell. A small cell frame. So every bee that she produces is going to be smaller than a regular bee would be. I'm just looking over the frame here for a minute. She's up at the top right now. Go ahead and set it back in there while she's up there. And I'm not gonna check this last frame. What I am gonna do though, one just got me. What I am going to do though is get in this green drone frame here. Anytime you get stung, go ahead and smoke where you got stung. Smoke it up pretty good because it's got that pheromone on it. You don't want them to come in there and smell that and go into attack mode. So let's go ahead and smoke them down a little bit. And the reason why that one stung me was my fault because I dropped that frame in there. I kind of thunked it. Alright, so we got all these bees on here. We know the queen's not on there. I'm just going to dump them back in there. That way I got the majority of them off of there. And we'll see if we can smoke some of these off. Alright, so what I got is just the frame here. You can see there, just the frame. And all I'm going to do is just clean all that off. See if we can get it to where y'all can see it. But I'm just going to go under here. And just clean it off just like that. Alright, so I cleaned that up pretty decent there. And you can see right there where they actually started to do it correctly. I left that part right there. I'm just going to take that little chunk off of there like that. And then we'll stick it back in there. So now I'm just going to scoot them together to where they're centered. Those are good to go. Smoke the edges, try to get them beads off of there before we put this hive back together. Smoke the top one. Get these frames back centered again. Which that's not too bad there. Make sure all the beads are off of the edges. Put their cap back on, or the lid. Put their food back on. So we're good to go on this hive. I don't need to check these hives right now. We already know what's going on with them. We'll go ahead and put their bricks back on. I always put one on the bucket, one on the lid. That way if it gets windy, it don't blow off. And that's about it. So again, I apologize that I haven't been making videos. I will make videos whenever I'm able to make videos, guys. It's just right now, the extra time required to go back and forth between the camera or reset the camera or do all the other different things you got to do, it just takes too long. And so right now, you know, I've been trying to get these set up and ready to move over to the new location because they're taking away the forest, which sucks. They should never take away a forest, but it is what it is. So, you know, I do apologize that I haven't been around, that I haven't been making videos, but I will continue to make videos as I'm able to. So we'll just kind of watch these girls do what they're doing. And the main thing I just wanted to let you guys know that I'm trying to get everything reorganized. At the same time, I'm trying to work on my house. At the same time, I'm trying to do my normal work. At the same time, I'm trying to keep up with what's going on in the world in case the video needs to go out to the growing awareness. And, you know, there's so many things that I got to do on a daily basis that it's absolutely insane. And time is by far the most important thing on earth. I mean, it really is. Time, there went one of the ladies right there with the bringing in that pollen. But time is a serious thing. I mean, you know, you either have it or you don't have it. And a lot of times when you have it, you don't have the money. But then when you do have the money, you don't have the time because you're working all the time. It's always something, right? So that's why I haven't been making any videos here lately, and I haven't for quite a while. But again, everything that I do with the bees, whenever it is possible, I will make a video and help you guys to learn about doing bees and all the different types of things that are going on there. So again, I switched everything over to 5-frame hives, everything. And I'm now using feeder buckets rather than the feeder boxes. These feeder buckets, you can fill them real quickly. I mean, all they got on them is a 5-gallon paint bucket lid, a little thing that you pop out, fill it up, pop it back in, and you're good to go. I mean, it's really quick, really easy. Rather than opening up the hive, pouring everything in there, and filling it up, and closing the hive back up, you just fill the bucket, toss it on there. When it's empty, pull it off, toss another one on there. It's no big deal. 5-frame, the reason I went 5-frame is because everything that you do basically has to do with 5 frames, and you can always take a 5-frame nuke and move that 5-frame. Let's let this plane pass. Then you can take those 5 frames and stick it into a 10-frame hive. So it's really not that big of a deal. Now, as you can see, that tall hive right there, it's got 2 deeps and then 2 supers on it, and I'm just having them draw the supers out before the honey flow gets here. And you can see there's a bit of congestion going on at the bottom there on the blue one. So I probably need to pull the reducer out completely, and I'll just allow them to have full access in and out of there at this point. And I may just do that. But again, guys, you know, how you set yours up is completely up to you. The older you get, the more things weigh, and going with 10-frame, especially with supers that are full of honey, the weight on them is ridiculous. I mean, so for me, the best way to go is 5-frame, and I can convert 5-frame to 10-frame real easy. Just pull 5 frames out, stick it into a 10-frame box, add 5 frames to it, and let them draw it out. No big deal. 5-frame by far, for me, is the easiest and most efficient way to go. And also, the smaller that the hive is, the less aggression that a hive has. Now, the bigger a hive gets, like when you got a 10-frame deep, 1 single deep, and then you've got, say, 10 supers on it, there is a massive amount of bees in there. You're talking tens of thousands of bees, and if they get aggressive, you're talking about possibly ending up in the hospital if you don't have your gear on, and you do need to have gear on. Now, you've seen that today I just used a veil, and most of the time that's all I do is a veil because I want to protect my face. But if I end up going into a hive and they are aggressive because there's a lizard around or some kind of predator around and they're just in an aggressive mode, I will go ahead and put a full jacket on and pants on and all those other things. It's very important because you don't want to be just completely stung up. Now, I did get stung today one time, and again, that's my fault. I did put the hive, the frame back in there improperly and ended up slightly dropping it, and that thud automatically causes them to come out and attack whatever's going on there. So I did get hit and stung by 1 bee, but we continued. It wasn't no big deal. So as you can see, what I do is I do 5-frame deeps, and I do it a double. That's the brood chamber. Both the bottom and the top together is the brood chamber. That's the same as a 10-frame going wide, but bees like to build up. They don't like to build out. But again, because when you're dealing with trees, trees, the hollow spot goes up and down, not left and right. So it's easier for them to build up and down. It's more logical for them to build up and down. It's more natural for them to build up and down. So I go 2 5-frame deeps, and then on top of the 5-frame deeps, I go and I put my supers. As you can see on that second one, the blue hive there with the blue entrance area there, you can see I've got 2 supers up on the top there. So I go 5-frame supers from there up, but I always give them 2 deeps. And then later in the year, after the honey flow, either in the fall, after the fall honey flow, but usually after the springtime honey flow, what I'll do is I'll just go ahead and take the top or the bottom, either way, it doesn't matter, and just split it. So I have, when you have those 2 right there, you could take that low one, leave it on there, take the top one, take it to a new location, seal it off for 24 hours so that they have to reorient, whatever you want to do. But then you've got 2 separate 5-frame. You got 2 new, you got, out of that one hive, you got 2 hives, and so each one of them, so you'd have, so on that one would be, you'd have 1 plus 1 new one. That one you'd have 1 plus 1 new one. That one you'd have 1 plus 1 new one. That one you'd have 1 plus 1 new one. And that's why I do doubles. So you every one of these, so if I say you have 10 hives and you're running the double deeps, then you can pull the top one off or the bottom one off, whichever way you want to do it, start another hive. So if you had 10 hives, you now have 20 hives. Let's pause it for the playing. So in essence, what you're doing is however many hives you have after the spring nectar flow or the honey harvest, pull off your supers, and then you can split the two different deeps, and then you have double the amount of hives, and so you can build your apiary and go from there. And if people say, well, you only got five frames, and you know that's only half of a 10-frame deep, and you're building up, and it can only go so tall, and so you're not going to get as much honey. Well, the thing about it is every single year you could split the 2 apart. Now you've got 2 hives, and 2 hives are going to produce more honey than the 1 hive. But again, that is a 10-frame setup because you have 2 deeps, which is what a single 10-frame deep brood chamber is all about, 10 frames. So you have it right there up and down rather than side to side, and then you just start putting your supers on, as you know, however high you need to go. And then at the end of the season, you split them, and now you've got 2 hives going into the next year. And if you lose one to the winter, by the way, I did lose 2 hives during that Texas freeze. I lost 2 out of 15 hives, or 20 hives. 21 hives right now. So I did lose two bees, or 2 hives out of that. So that's not bad. I mean, that's a very small percentage. On average in the state of Texas, across the state, it was a 30% loss. So that's pretty significant. Usually in a year's time, 40% is pretty much maxed out in loss of bees or loss of hives. So you know, that's pretty